Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about the information functions. Now, information functions provide information about the data types, values, and structures within the dataset. Functions like isBLANK, ISNUMBER, ISTEXT, type, contains, distinct, and has one values are used to check the conditions, identify the unique values, and validate the data integrity. So whenever you have to validate some data, you will be using these functions. Now, talking about these functions, isBLANK would be used to find out a blank value, whether your data set is having a blank value or not. So it would return the values in terms of true or false, depending upon the data is blank or not. Then we have the isNumber function. So it would be used to identify whether the particular column or whether the particular data is having a number or not. And again, it would return the values in terms of true or false. Then we have the isText option. So same as isNumber, this would be used to check, but this would be used to check the text. If the particular value is text, it would return the answer as true, else it would return the answer as false. Then we have the type option over here. This type option would return a number representing the particular data type. So whenever you are dealing with multiple data types inside a single column, let's say for example, and if you are checking the type of it, so it would return a number based on the type of data type that it encounters. So for example, let's say that your number was 1. So it is depicting that we are facing a number data type over there. If it is returning a number 2, that means it is detecting the text over there. If it is detecting Boolean over there, it would return the value as 4. And in case of date, it would return the value as 8. And in case of any blank value, it would return the number as 16. After it, we have contains. So contains is basically checking a specific table or a specific row for a specific condition. Let's say if you want to find out that whether it contains a username by name of Jack, so it would return the value as true if it is able to find that particular value of Jack over there. If it is not able to find that value, it would return as false. Then we have the distinct. So this distinct would be used to find out the distinct set of values, and then it would return you a value in form of a table with a column with all distinct values. So I'll give you a good example for this when we working on the examples. Then we have this has one value. So if you want to check if a column contains only one value over there, you will be using this has one value. It would return you the answer as true if it only has one value. And if it is having multiple values inside it, then it would return you the answer as false. So let's go to the Power BI screen and see how can we use these functions. So now, for example, I am working with a data set and this is a orders data set. So what I'll do is I'll quickly go to the orders data set over here. I'll delete this column for now. Now this orders data set contains too many columns over here. Now I want to check whether any column contains blank value or not. And I want to filter the result based on those blank values, for example. How would you do it? So in order to check the blank values, what I'll do is, let's say I'm choosing this new column and over here, I'll say blank. The name would be blank. Now I'm checking it that whether the value in this particular postal code column is blank or not. Because there are multiple values, I just have to check whether a user has entered postal code or not. So I will write the function as is blank over here, and then I have to provide it with a value. Now that value would be this postal code column. So this postal code column is inside of the orders table. So first I'll write orders over here. Then I will specify the column name as postal code. Close the bracket, hit enter. You can see this value is coming as false. So the result over here is false because over here we have some postal code. It is not blank. But what if you are facing any blank options over here? So what we will do is we'll go to this blank column, click on this arrow and select only true values for now and hit OK. Now you can see all these true values and just ahead of it on the row of postal code, I don't have any data. This is because it was not able to detect any data over here and it identified it as a blank row. And that's why it is giving you the results in terms of true. So in this way, what you can do is you can check for a specific conditions. And this is not just whenever you are creating a calculated column. I'm just giving you an example by creating a calculated column. Whenever you are using DAX functions, so all these DAX functions would be used one beside another and one inside another. So there would be a big condition. And there, if you are trying to check whether if a value is blank, you want to perform a certain operation. At that time, you can try to do this thing. Let's say if you want to find out whether any value is blank and you want to replace it with some other values. So how would you do it? First of all, you need to find out whether the value is blank or not. So to check whether it's blank, you will use this is blank function. And as it detects that the value is blank, it would then apply some kind of functions on the top of it, maybe replacing it with some other value or a generic value. In postal code, this is not possible because there would be multiple postal codes. But still, if you are able to identify a specific area or a specific city, then you will be able to do that things also. Then the next one is number. So let's say again I want to do some checks on a particular column. This time what I'll do is I'll delete this column first. Now I'll again create new column. I quickly want to check whether my particular column contains numeric values or not. Right now it contains this postal code as numeric value, so I can basically check it. Also, whenever you are having mixed data types, so inside a single column there will be multiple data types. So at that time, if you want to check that what are the values which have numbers in that, you can easily identify it with the help of isNumber DAX function. So I say number check over here. For the function I'm using isNumber. I have to pass the column inside of it, which is the postal code. So it is inside orders table. So I'll use orders table, postal code, close the bracket, hit enter. You can see it is returning the value as true. Let's say if by chance any user has entered a value which is not a number, how would you identify it? Because at many times it can happen that they haven't left the value as blank, but instead of leaving it as blank, they have inputted some text over there. So how would you identify? So first of all, you will go over here in the number check and you can see these true and false over there. So after selecting the value of false, hit OK, and you will see it is still identifying the blank values as false because blank values don't contain any data type over there. That's why it is able to detect that particular this is not a number. Now, if you talk about a bigger problem over here, the bigger problem would be I just don't want the blank values over here. I want to see whether it contains number or not. So at that time, you can use the type option. So remember, while I was telling you the type option, so I told you that it would return whether a particular column contains a number, text, or a Boolean value, and it would return a number in it. So you can filter according to that number also whenever you are dealing with such large data over there. Then for the next one, we have is text. So let's say that this state is consisting of some text. I want to check on it whether it contains text or not, whether any user has inputted a value which is in some number format. So again, what I'll do is I will quickly modify this column only. I will say text check. The function I'm using is text, and inside it I am passing the state column. So I will write state and it is belonging to the authors table. Close the bracket, hit enter, and you can see the values will be coming in the form of true or false. A filter has been applied, so I'll just clear the filter for now because it is not able to show us the data. Now, if I click on this text check, you can see all the values are true. That means in the state column, every information is text information. There is no false value. That means we don't have any other data type over here. So in this way, you can check the data quality also, and you can try to find out some information about your particular columns or particular tables. I'll remove this column. So quickly delete it from the model to save some space. Then the next one I'm using is contains. So let's say if I want to find out that whether this customer name contains bad waters or not. So it can be a check, kind of check I'm applying, and this check would be applied on whenever you are creating some new measures and whenever you are creating some new columns also, tables also, anywhere you can apply this checks, and you would be using this check with a longer DAX function basically. So right now what I'm doing is I'm creating a new column for now. Just to give you a brief idea, I will say contains check. Over here, I'm using the function contains. First of all, it is asking me the table name. What is the table that you are dealing with right now? So I'll say I'm dealing with the orders table, comma. Then it would ask you on top of which column you want to apply the check. I want to apply the check on the top of customer names. I will select customer name from over here, comma. On what values do you want to apply this check? So inside quotes, I will write the name as Bart Waters. Close it with quotes, close the bracket, hit enter. Now you'll see it is giving me the values in terms of true. Now you will notice over here that all the values are true. No value is false over here. That this is happening because it is first going to the table, then it is going to a specific columns, and in that particular column, it is trying to identify a single value of Bart Waters. Since Bart Waters is present over here in this line, That's why it is returning the value as true. It is not performing any row-based operations. So if it was performing any row-based operations, what would have happened? So over here, I'm having a different client name, Macraya. So it would give the result as false. But since it is not doing any row-based operation, that is why it is giving me the value as true. It is able to identify it on the top of the complete column. So in this case, when we were learning when to create the measure, when to create the columns, and when to create a table, I understood that if I'm getting the values like this, which is occupying the complete column and which is returning me just a single value, so I won't be creating a column in that case. I would be going with the measures. So this is a quick check that we need to create a measure for that, not a particular column, because it would be consuming some memory also, and we don't need it right now. So remember, the text function would be same. The only thing that would be changed would be we will be creating a measure. Now the next is the distinct option. This distinct would be used to create a distinct table. Maybe let's say that you want to create a distinct table with all the country names that are occurring over here. Right now I can see that the complete data belongs to United States over here, but this is not true. There are multiple countries inside this whole database. How to identify it? Right now I have sorted this data, that's why maybe I'm not able to see the whole countries. So what I'll do is I'll create this sort for now, and in this way you will be able to look at the data, and it contains Australia also, it was containing US also, and maybe other countries would be also coming over. But I want to create a table, and in that table I just want the data of distinct countries. What should I do? So in that case, I will go to the home option. Here I will choose new table. New table name I will give as distinct countries, or maybe list of countries. Here I will say distinct, and inside I will pass a particular column which is the orders table, and the column name was country. Close the bracket, hit enter. You will see that it has created a new table for us. In this particular table, I only have one column, and that column contains the list of all these countries. Now, let's say if your stakeholder comes and asks you that from how many countries we have been getting these order requests. So you would be quickly able to identify, and here is the list. Then again, you can convert it to a specific list, and then you can pass on. You can also try to arrange it in alphabetical order. So this is how you will be dealing with a particular table which contains some distinct values. Then we have the has one value. So for example, I'll be moving towards any another data set. So this time, let's say I'm working with the sample sales data. Over here in the sample sales data, there are multiple columns. Right now, this category column is there. And if I want to find out that whether this category column contains only one value, which can be basically electronics. So is it true or false? So I know it is not true because this category column contains electronics, furnitures, as well as the office supplies. So let's check it with the help of a text function. So what I'll do is I will create new column. Let's name this column as test for now. Over here, I'm using the text function of has one value, and inside it, I'm passing the column of the sample sales category. So you have to remember first you have to also list the table name over here because there are multiple tables in your model right now. So you have to choose a specific table name that you want to apply the text function on the top of. Here I'm choosing category, close the bracket, hit enter, and you can see it would give me the values in terms of true or false. So right now it is giving me the value as false because it contains multiple values. And these values are repeating, but it's not a unique value which is throughout the column. So now let's say that in case if you have a value and you want to check that whether it contains only one value or in between there is some other value also. As when we were working with the previous table over here. So let's say we were working with this orders table. So this orders table has this data of Australia. Now you want to check whether it contains some other country or it is just Australia. So I cannot scroll down forever because it might contain thousands or maybe millions of record from a single country also. So in that case, it would be very difficult for me to just scroll down, or maybe a smaller option would be, or a quick option would be to look over here that how many countries it contains. But still, if you want to create a measure out of it, and why am I saying measure? Because again, it is returning me a single value. It is either true or it is either false. It is not true or false repetitively in a specific column. So it is returning you a specific value. So you have to create a measure, not a column. But to show you the data over here with the help of these examples in front of us, I'm using a calculated column. So now what I'll do is I will select this column. Let's rename it and say its name is date. Now this date column, if you look closely, these dates are all same, but still I want to verify it with the help of a text function. And these all are same because I know I created this with the help of a text function. When we were talking about the date and time functions, we created this one. Now I want to check whether this particular date column contains all these dates similar or not. So what I'll do is I will use this text test column and I'll again use this has one value. This time the column that I'm choosing is sample sales date, close the bracket, hit enter. Since all the values are date or similar in this column, it would return the answer as. That is how you can use these functions and you can try to find out whether any value is blank or is number or not. So in this way, we have used all the functions which are related to the information. So you can try this with the help of any other data set also. You can try to find out different values and you can work on multiple data types to see how the results are coming. In the next session, we'll be talking about some table functions. Thank you.